right. Good night, everybody. Well, good night. Welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank. This is the 90 minutes of intellectual conversation, stimulation, support, and just overall good conversation with men who are fathers in all walks of life and demographics and things of that nature. Uh, Tonight it looks like let's be me and Lightborn, but it only needs me and Lightborn because we we can fill up a room, especially with a topic like this that we got going on tonight. Um, and this is one that I'm bringing up because uh, I think there's something that's important to think about for fathers. A father's being too nice, it invites a lot of disrespect. And I say that as fathers, but I'm using that, you know, specifically for fathers, but I think it's inclusion to everyone, every person, all people, women, mothers. I think that the idea of us being nice seems to bring about some disrespect, because if we were not nice, then people may bring on, give us some respect because we're not nice. But we'll delve into that. Let me just let my co-father introduce himself, and then we'll get into this conversation. Share, and subscribe. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this conversation, chime them in. Also, if you are interested, as you're in one of the chat rooms, Facebook, YouTube, you want to come on and have some conversation, just let me know and I'll get you the code and get you inside the room. All right, Lightmore.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen, and Facebook world and all the other good stuff. My name is Lionel Lightborn. I'm a father to a tribe of 7 young adults, three daughters, and 4 sons, 2 grandchildren, and it's just always a pleasure to be here, and I can't wait to dive into this topic.
Yeah, so and the first thing I want to really think about is to try to get away from the whole Sean Combs trial. I think everybody's kind of focus. And I think at some point, we're looking at how things operate, how things work out for us as fathers. This idea of being too nice is something that comes up. I feel like it comes up sometimes because there is a new culture of fatherhood where fathers are trying to be more emotional. They're trying to have a better overall emotional level, understanding, being a little bit different than the idea of how fathers were when they were just fire and brimstone. Like, it's my way, highway, this day, the belt, all these kind of scenarios that we would say that fathers had a very strong alpha male mentality on how to handle things and deal with things. But today we see that, when you learn better, you do better. And sometimes trying to do better, what I thought about is sometimes you can learn better and do better, but that doesn't mean the people that you're doing better for and with understand why you're doing it. So it becomes more like you doing stuff, and then they taking it as something else. So that is something for us to think about and get into that conversation. I know, Lightborn, when I think about, you think about yourself and your children overall, and what kind of father do you think? Have you become nicer, or have you always been nice, or what where and what have you seen based on your niceness?
Well, as a father, I'm nice until I'm not, right? And so they have to deal with 2 fathers. the nice father and the necessary. Um, my children will get to see the necessary Lionel more than the average person, right? Because I have more invested in them. I have more stake in them. Um, I was thinking about. I was on that Diddy trial. I think God has blessed me with a lot of knowledge and a lot of
Mhm.
wisdom to really comment on this trial and actually give commentary. And so I've just about been on every platform giving factual perspective, not emotional, but factual. And of course, just not only just being father because I see the same responses, right? Notice I said I'm giving factual, not emotional perspective, and I see the pushback with society, the same pushback with society I see with my own children, right? And so, because nobody really wants to hear what they need to hear. That's a good way to put that. Nobody really wants to hear what they need to hear.
Mhm.
Like I would never come at you with something emotional. I'm gonna come at you something. I'm gonna come at you with something factual because I have to come at with you with something factual because there's more on the line than just your feelings, right? If he loses, he's staying to go to jail for life. You understand? But if he win, then he still can be the support to a whole bunch of people's lives that's really attached to him. And so, I mean, I've been very hard on it from day one. I see the ramifications. I can see because I'm a little older, so I can see a lot of things in hindsight that a lot of young people or untrained ears and eyes just can't see, and particularly as being a black man. And so, I'm able, by the grace of God, I'm able to really defend him very well. Not hypothetically, I'm talking about factual, nothing but facts. And so once we're able to do that, and then time is actually starting to pull the cover off a lot of lies. I guess you could say that a lot of lies, and a lot of people don't even why you would want to see him fall. And so just trying to, and I like the way you get a parallel between Diddy and just nice guys because overall he is a nice guy, and I'm gonna tell you why. Diddy always referred to himself and his record label as Bad Boys. One thing I know about Bad Boys, they would never have to call themselves. It's a fact. A bad boy would never have to say he's bad boy. That's number one. Number two, the man when he first came in the game, he called himself the P always stood for Puff Daddy. Not because he was some type of notorious weed smoker, right? He called himself Puff because Puff represents who he were, his personality, his character, which means like Puff the Stay Puff Marshmallow Man. More no, but that's the type of Puff he was. He never really came off as I'm this gangster, whatever the case may be. He put the persona of bad boy up because truth of the matter is he was hiring a lot of bad boys and employing a lot of bad boys and giving them enough, another way out. Because if you took Puff Daddy out of the equation, really, where would your communities be? Where would Brooklyn be? You understand? Where would New York really be when it comes to the urban and the people in that particular neighborhood and that particular um, uh, what they call it people that he served, that community that he
Yeah, I
served.
mean, like boy, somebody said, and it's funny you say that because I was listening to a interview with "Day Is Mine." Oh, I'll be sure. I had to sing the song in my mind to get the thing. Love is blind. I'll be sure. And he was saying that this whole thing changes a whole dynamic because you know we think a little bit about the two. I mean, not Tupac, but R. Kelly trial. And after the R. Kelly trial, during his time, they were saying get rid of all his music, get rid of all the stuff. So we lost all of the things that R. Kelly touched music wise, right? Um, and then now it's almost like, yo, if you say, hey, this is what happens with him, you lose almost a whole genre of music. You're about to lose because this guy was, yeah, like he was a mogul involved in all kinds of ways. So it's just thinking, but that goes into my question of saying if people be nice with him, Will it lead him to continue to be disrespectful in the ways that he was disrespectful? You know,
Well, again,
this is not.
say Puff is again, Puff, and then the guys has nothing to do with him being a businessman because he's Puff, and it speaks back to your topic. Your topic is when is being nice. I'm like, Puff is not on trial because he was nasty. Puff is on trial because he's nice. We know that Puff is not. Trust me when I tell you, we know this factually. This is what's. I'm gonna be honest between me and you, because my wife, and I know she gets an earful every day about this. I'm like, what's pissing me off is because they always do it to the nice guy. He's nowhere near the nastiest guy in hip hop. I'm sure of that. You understand? But the fact that somebody can reach a certain level of success and this and that, jealousy, and they say jealousy breeds envy. He's not on trial because he's a nasty guy. They haven't really. I'm gonna be honest with you. They haven't proved not one situation where the fact that he was nasty. I'm like, are you serious? I watched hip hop dudes literally slap the hell out of people, whether you saw it with the camera or it was there or not. We have popular like #1 shows, unfortunately, on people beating the hell out of each other, and we got P. Diddy on trial. Seriously? Are we serious? I mean, we make the biggest money on the type of thing they're accusing him of, and we've never seen that man do that but one time in 2016. One time. But we got, popular #1 shows, groundbreaking shows on people beating the hell out of each other, and he's on trial, facing life for it? No, hell no. And I got to say hell no as a black man, because I'm like, no, you better prove he did what you say he did, because you're talking about trying to RICO a man, right? And I'm like, from the last time I checked, RICOs are for kingpins, not kinky men. You understand?
There you go. It's for kingpins, not kinky men.
And so the fact that we allowed it, and then I think I'm really disappointed in us as black people. I'm like, man, y'all understand? We are far more educated to sit here and be silent and watch this crap go on. Because you know what I equate this to, Ron? This is the equation, and you're gonna love this part. I haven't even said this yet. I'm preparing it. I got it in the what they call in the archives. It's still in the baker right now. You know what I equate this to? The new sex crimes is this. The new sex crimes they got going on now, not just for black people. The new sex crime is the equivalent to the old crack crimes. So the new sex laws is the exact equivalent to the old crack laws. I kid you not. And we'll study this 20 years from later, and you'll be like, I'll be damn. Lightborn was right. But I'm like, but damn, look at the mass incarceration it's going to cause. You understand? People talking like, oh, it's a Diddy issue. I'm like, nah, this ain't no Diddy issue. This your silly issue. You silly to watch this happen and think it won't happen to you. Especially if you're going to raise a halfway decent, successful kid. Because what's happening to Diddy on the what they call on the global level can happen to your child on the grade school level. They go, well, what you mean by that? Let's just say, I'm just going to throw some real life scenarios out there to make it sure to let you know this all of our problem. Let's just say your kid is doing really well. You raised him right, you got him to the point, and he becomes a popular basketball player, superstar, whatever. He's getting ready to do something extravagant, extraordinary, right? Because you raised him to do that. Now, all of a sudden, he's dating a girl that he wasn't serious about, right? Some girl he just wouldn't, he didn't really, he was respectful, just like you boys raised him up to be, but he just like.
He was nice. He was nice. He was a nice guy.
You got it. Oh, see, you getting to realize it.
Yeah.
So now you raised this child right. He did everything right. He met the wrong girl. And all she got to do, just one accusation. And guess what? All his hopes go down the drain. Now, this is nothing new because we saw this in history. This is what you call them teachable historical moments. And we should be able to see this stuff, but I don't understand with the level of intelligence and degrees that we have, why we can't see a damn thing. And so I'm sitting there like, y'all not forecasting this? We experienced our black men, and particularly our young black men experienced this when they went to college and they was getting ready to do something great. And understand that they got hooked up with a white girl who dad may not approve. And guess what? Made that switch, that consensual story, You understand? To a rape story, or the consensual story to a criminal story, and so it has too much of an image. What do they call it? Immaterial appeal. By the time the justice really happened, that lady was on her deathbed. The question Black people got to ask themselves is, can you afford that? So don't think what's going to strangle or what you're trying to strangle P. Diddy, the weeds that you're trying to strangle P. Diddy with, won't come back and get your boys. Make no mistake about it. You're going to wish you checked this now. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm like, man, you understand, as long as you empowering accusations, you weaponize lies. And when you do that, don't be mad when it happened to your child. Don't think it can't, because it will. And it would be just like this new sex laws would be just like the old crack laws, and all of a sudden you got. Only difference is it will lock up a lot of good boys than bad boys. That's the difference. Or a lot of nice guys than bad guys. You see the difference?
And I think in a big part of this, and we might be being so advanced with this, like Boyne, and as I'm listening to you speak and thinking about how people are sitting somewhere viewing this, and they're saying, these guys up here talking about defending P. Diddy. And I think that what they miss is that we're not talking about P. Diddy. We're talking about the culture that men live in, this culture you live in, that as a father, you can raise your child, right? You can raise a child to be respectful, be kind, be good, be friendly, but that doesn't mean the world's going to be like that, right? So, and I think this really goes right to the topic tonight. You teach them to be nice, generous, welcome, don't be pushy, don't be, and stand up for themselves when they have to, this and that. And then you find out your child is the one who people will more hurt and bully and do things to, because you gave them the ability to be nice and be kind, and it leads to people disrespecting them, doing things to them, setting them up, putting them in situations, because we want them to be a good person. And I know that we come from a different ilk, right? People like me and you, we come from an ilk where we came from the bottom and we done came to the middle, right? I ain't saying we make it to the top. We made it to the middle, right? And I think that people don't even estimate that from the bottom to the middle that's a big jump. Somebody like P. Diddy now, we look at P. Diddy. P. Diddy, Sean Combs, I like to call him Sean Combs. Sean Combs came from the bottom all the way to the top. And if he was, and I think about what it means to talk about all of his sexual escapades and his involvement in relationships and whatever he's doing, does that change the person that he is? Because let me ask you this question. What is Sean Combs as a father? Because I don't see any of the children or his sons, that not even his son that he raised. I don't see them not really being and again, what do I know? I'm not the expert of them, but I'm not really seeing them not say, my father is my father, I support him. I might not support his freak offing or whatever, but I support my father because I know the man that my father is to us. Because he could be a nasty father. There's some fathers out there who.
But you know what? I think, and I don't want you, Ron. Let me be. And I love you, my brother, but I don't need you being unapologetic for me, because I am defending P. Diddy. Very much so. I need you to know that, hands down. You understand?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not.
Right. And now, but what I'm saying is, I'm defending, back to your point, number one, the father he is, and most importantly, the man he is. You understand? I am not. I've seen situations. Matter of fact, we just coming off one of the family member, and this is where the nice part come in there, because I need you. I think there's not enough narratives for how nasty nice guys get treated. So my job is to teach you, right? That's just it. And so I got a family member, and it happened in my own life too. But I got a family member, nice to the core, nice guy. That guy had worked with a peer, a woman, peer, who just disliked him so much they got into a disagreement at school. Don't you? I swear to you, if I'm lying, I'm flying. This woman literally told the principal that this man was molesting children. I kid you not, if I'm lying, I'm flying. My cousin was on the 7 o'clock news, all over the news thing, all over it. Literally, she just made it up on the spot. They came and arrested my cousin, had him on the news, blah, 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 took the whole purple, right? When none of this is true, everybody, no evidence, just on hearsay, just on accusation, right? Mm-hmm. Come to find out, and this is where the God factor in. People can say what they want to say. I'm like, only God can do this. God had to bless him with another woman that he didn't even know. He was just, and back to your niceness, Ron, piece, he was just doing a nice favor for a woman because he knew how to paint. He's very good with his hands. So he paint houses, do decks and stuff like that. He was doing the lady, and just coincidentally, the lady happened to be a retired pit bull lawyer. God is my witness. This is a true story. Mm-hmm. That lady found out what that man was going through. She took that case pro bono and shut Miami-Dade County Public School down. Now here's the mess up. They took him, he was on all the public channels, all the major news stations. You understand, when the accusation out there, everything to make it, everything nasty got media attention. When that man's name got clear, that man ain't appeared on not one television station. God and honest truth. That's a true story.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
And so when you talking to me, you got to understand, I'm like, when I'm talking about this issue, my life is on the line. I'm like, unless you ready to give your life, don't have this conversation with me. People are like, what you mean about? I'm like, let me say it again. Unless you're ready to give your life, do not have this conversation with me. Why? Because I already gave my life for it. So now I identify more with P. Diddy than anybody else in this situation. Because I know what it is to be lied on. And guess what? And I know what it is to be on trial. By the grace of God, I was found not guilty. That's a true story. That's a true testimony. So you ask me, oh, you got, I'm like, oh, I can identify. But until you go, I'm like, this is play for you for now. And I'm gonna be honest with you. And I rarely don't pray these kind of prayers, but I pray that everybody that was on the judgment side of this get to see this somewhere in their life, whether it be for their children or their grandchildren. I pray that for them. And people like, that's a bad prayer. I'm like, it is a very necessary prayer. It's not nice, but it's very necessary. And I pray that right now. Because until you understand what that is,
I want to welcome you.
As black people who went through so much, we play too much. And the fact that we don't even know how we have to let people redefine us before we even learn how to define ourselves is a travesty within itself. That's my problem. I'm going to always be passionate about them. Man, don't have this conversation with me unless you're willing to have a heart attack on it. Because I'm going to damn sure come for your life when you're talking about coming for mine. And so I'm like, nah, not to mention, and this is what P. Diddy and Tupac have a lot in common right now. This is what I love about it. Their life finally is on the same side. Because one thing I know about Tupac, when I don't know nothing else, Tupac went to his grave hating that woman who got him locked up. That man ain't never switched his story on that woman who put the accusation against him. You understand? And so now, here we are, years later, P. Diddy's in the same boat. And people talking about, oh, Tupac. I said, no, Tupac will be on this man's side right now. Because that's just the type of dude he was. That man don't see all that personal stuff. That man see what's just. And once he realized that, damn, stay in the same boat I got locked up for. Of course he gonna ride for that man. Because that's what, excuse my language, real niggas do. But I'm gonna leave that alone.
Tay, let me bring you in. Tay, let me bring you in here. Welcome you into the show tonight. Go ahead and do your introduction, and I'll give you a little quick overview. We're sitting here. We're talking about fathers being too nice. Father being too nice invites a lot of disrespect, and so we are, we're into that place right now. So I just want to go ahead and put you in the mix. Let you introduce yourself and hear some of what you might think about being too nice, becoming a conduit for disrespect.
Okay. Yeah. So everybody know I'm Taylor Burton, founder of the Our Own Opinions. So you gonna play it? Founder of the Our Own Opinions podcast. You gotta take out your bed. Okay. Want me to cut it off? Sorry. Which one? Okay. All right. Hold on. All right. So yeah. So founder of the Our Own Opinions podcast. How my son talking to me about man. It's crazy what kids are into nowadays. Just the simple things. Right now he have like a camera session. Like a cameras on apartments or home things like that. He have like a camera session. But yeah, but you can see me on right now I'm on YouTube as Tay W, and I'm also on Facebook. If you have a Facebook, I'm also on Facebook as a podcast Our Own Opinions and things like that. And I do have two TikToks. I have a personal TikTok and I have Our Own Opinions TikTok, the podcast TikTok. But yeah, nah. So when I seen it, I think I was sitting down on my couch scrolling through Instagram, and I think seen it being posted. Being too nice invites disrespect. I'm gonna just say disrespect, and definitely as a father, man, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of jumped up, but then my heart jumped down too, because when I tell you this is so true from experience, being too nice, like I've tried everything in my power to be nice, to be what's that word called? You just trying to not coexist, but you're cordial. Like I've tried everything in my power with my kids' moms to do that, and I tell it's crazy because I preach to practice what you preach, but that's what I should have been doing. But that's what I encourage every single father now. I don't care what relationship you and that mom have, go get joint custody. I don't care how y'all may feel. I don't care what the situation is, go get joint custody and try to put some time into actually getting your child. You know what I'm saying? I think that's another thing. But when it comes to disrespect, when I tell you, I've both all of them have said and have done some things that requires a certain type of disrespect from a guy back. But because I can control myself, I chose not to do. I probably said some things, but it was because I was being too nice. And plus, when they see, and then when you do become niggas want to call it the a hole, and they want to when you see that you putting your foot down, you don't play games. They're still gonna try to do stuff to get in front of your skin. But there's no question when you're too nice. Yes, it comes with disrespect. And I tell all my friends, I tell all my boys, I tell myself in the mirror now. Listen, man, all that being too nice crap. Nah, all that being humble. No, you gotta go handle your business. I don't care if she try to give you some at the end. I don't care if she try to butter you up. Nah. You can't be nice. You know what I'm saying? Even in life, man. Even in life, even when you're dealing with like friends, former friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm a very, very mild mannered, timid person at times. So if anybody ever hear that I got into a situation, I got into a fight, everybody knows that person started with me. Because I know how to walk away and stuff, you know. Because I feel like majority of people is in jail because they couldn't control themselves. You know, so they couldn't control their emotions. So that that's how I feel. Besides the ones that's innocent, but so I always try to control myself. You know, always observe. Growing up, I always observe everything. I was an observer. I wasn't the one to necessarily do things. But yeah, a lot of disrespect. To be honest, a lot of
Well,
disrespect.
let me do that. I'm going to read his comment, but he just came on, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself and we got my good brother, Innocent Pete. He said, "What? That's the problem. Being nice takes away your defense. Everyone you meet is not someone to be nice with me and greet. You need to get intel, learn who you're dealing with. Everyone can be a friend." And I was going to respond to that, but I'm going to let him introduce himself and welcome another father that I know is a deep father. Welcome tonight, brother.
Hey, good night, gentlemen. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead, brother.
Me.
Yeah. Hey, my name is Pete of the Master Builders platform. Uh, nice to meet you, gentlemen, tonight. I hear the conversation that's going on. To clarify what I was saying, uh, being nice. There's nothing wrong with being nice, but nice is something where I think when we give away our position, and we stop searching for intel, because people that you deal with, we have different agendas. We all don't be on the same page, and sometimes people looking to use you, people looking to take from you, and you can't smile in everybody's face that you meet. Everybody can't be a friend.
You know, as you were saying, I was thinking this, and that what I was going to say is that what I have observed and seen, and many times is that when you hear this saying about nice guy finish last, right? And I found that to be very true, because even when I look at people in relationships, women will be with a man, sometimes be with a man, the nice guy that some and it's subjective what a nice guy is, but I'll say that you would see a guy who is disrespectful, a cheater, sometimes a guy who do all the things that you would be like, why would you be in a relationship with that person? Threaten violence, all these things. That person, they will give a certain respect to, right? And say, oh, I can't do this. I'm scared. Oh, I gotta. He called. I gotta pick up the phone. And here's the nice guy who is accommodating and being a kind of person that says whatever. You sometimes see them like, man, I ain't answering. I'm not answering the phone. I call him back, because you know he's not. He's not going. When you call him back, he be like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? What's going on? Oh, nothing. I called you early. Oh yeah, I was doing such and such. That's not that guy who's not nice. When you don't answer his phone, he'll call you 20 more times, and then when he do answer the phone, it's gonna be, why you answer my phone call again? That's not nice. But guess what? It almost looks and sets a tone for people to watch and say, oh, don't even be nice, because if you be nice, people will disrespect you, and that's something we have to worry about and try to instill in our children, our boys and our girls, of how to manage these kind of relationships, and and I think you said it really good, Pete. Get more intel on before how you treat people. Sometimes we go in, if nice guys go in and give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Oh, she's a dream girl. These are my dream buddies, and I know they're this and that, and then turn around and be probably sitting their ass in the jail cell saying, how did this happen to me? Because you didn't do the intel. You didn't make sure that the people that you were giving the benefit of the doubt, because guess what? They're not giving you a benefit of the doubt.
Well, and I think the distribution on niceness and kindness, it's mandatory because it's necessary, right? If we won't see, if you took, I mean, they've taken polls to find out if since COVID, has the world become a kinder place or a meaner place? And guess what the stat said? It said the world has become a meaner place. Being that is because what happened is kindness and niceness is not a commodity that you can keep to yourself. Kindness and niceness is not a something that's negotiable. It should be a non-negotiable, right? It should be something that comes automatic. But because until it becomes automatic, then what we're saying is, okay, I'm gonna withhold my kindness, right? Right? Until somebody becomes kind to me. You understand? And that kindness, right. And that kindness, that is, kindness and niceness actually save lives. That's a fact. Let me say it again, kindness and niceness save lives. And so if you pull the kindness and niceness, or withhold the kindness and niceness out of your environment or out of your community, then you're going to get more of what we're seeing. Because right now, and what we're basically saying, and what we're negotiating at this particular conversation is somebody's like, kindness is a give and a take. You understand? As opposed to making kindness a take, like, take back my community. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna use the kindness as a weapon and not as a wealth. It can be both, but I think we so used to using kindness as a wealth, you understand, that we never really learned how to use it as a weapon. And so kindness is a weapon. I've seen kindness actually save people's lives. I've seen kindness where people have thought about committing suicide, or guess what? Or going out to commit a homicide. I've actually heard from my community.
Right.
One kindness kind of changed the whole trajectory of whatever tragedy they was getting ready to be involved in. So I think we really need to redefine what kindness is and the importance and the power of it.
Well, let me interject and on some of those points you were saying, I see where you was kind of chopping it up and trying to and showing some difference between kindness and niceness and what it points out and what it means to people, because somebody can come in and put $5 in your hand and somebody say, "Oh, God bless you. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, you so nice. You so kind." And people can equal giving money or giving a nice tip or something to that effect with being kind and being nice. And then you have and these are different scenarios, and this is why I love talking on platforms like this. When you StreamYard, little fella jump out of the swing and let you get into the swing, and you probably ain't never met little buddy a day in your life, but you don't have no little malice in your little heart or in your little mind or nothing. So you and this little boy sharing the swing together, and somebody say, "Oh, now see how nice and kind that is, them little boys." Boom, boom, boom. The human being, we the type of beings, we always learning, we're always evolving. And when we get stuck into an area where we stop evolving, we stop learning, then people get caught up in this emotional state of mind. So even if someone does something nice for you or kind for you, and you could still be a being that says, they should have did it anyway. I deserve this type of stuff anyway. Something about Doc said a few talks back, where when people get into situations from young, these type of things, they follow us into our adulthood. So even if you being nice and kind just because you was probably raised that way, or you could be a hardcore dude, but you still feel like you want to give. And people in today's society, it's hard to be nice and kind, because the saying, people would take your niceness and kindness for weakness. And these are the things that people home in on. People giving, people paying it forward, and they using these gestures that a lot of us was born with, and they using it against us. And it's hurting a lot of people. People who families were on drugs a lot, and people who ain't never gave up on their family for being on drugs after they done stole all the stuff out the house, done pulled the knife on everybody in the house but mama. It's like, what do you do now? Do you keep being nice and paying it forward, or do you protect yourself and you discriminate to a certain point of who you help and who you don't help, if that makes any sense?
No, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, but you're talking about the difference between it's a time to be, well, it's always a time to be nice, but then it's a time when that nice turn into necessary. They be like, well, how you mean nice turn into necessary? Nice is being nice is okay, yeah, that's a good point. Being nice is a luxury, right? But being necessary is a responsibility, right? Because your job with being nice, now you have to go to being necessary, because being necessary protects everybody in the sphere or the protection of your niceness. You see the difference?
Well, that's in one sense. That's in one sense. That I agree with you 100% on that, because I'm a papa, so I pay bills. So I ain't got to be nice about it, but it is a responsibility. You hear what I'm saying? So people who are even in your protective circle, we do a lot of stuff that we don't feel nice about. Nobody don't want to get up every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 or 6 days straight, and go work at a job that maybe not their cup of tea, but still we have a obligation to still get things done. And as I tell my daughters, ain't nothing nice about what I do. It's a necessary and it's my duty. Whether I feel bad, I feel good, I say F it for the day, it doesn't matter, because we still have to look at each other and you see a need, you feel a need. I agree with that. Somebody hungry, hey, here you go. But we still have to maintain our balance in what we're doing, because people are losing their commitment to themselves and to their families that really depend on them, to the point to where people walk away from each other because they don't know how to help. They don't know how to receive that niceness, that good gesture. It's a whole lot of ins and outs to what we're talking about. Trust what I tell you guys.
Well, the why, I bet the niceness, what the thing about it is, yeah, you explained it very well. I'm like, well, you just explained your niceness. You don't feel like going to that job. But and guess what? Your daughters them could actually define that niceness better than you can, because they're the recipients of it. And so what you may not see as, man, I might have not been the nicest person in the world, your daughters may have a totally different narrative. Like, what you talking about, Dad? You went to work every day for us for a job you didn't like, and you did it for us. You understand? And so not so much as because people think that niceness is more an announcement. I'm like, no, niceness is an action, and oftentimes it is an action that needs an announcement. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And most times, when you may not feel like you wasn't the nicest person in the world, everybody in the world thought you was the nicest person. If that makes any sense. But sometimes we have to get that narrative of them and ask them. And most of the time we rarely get to sit down and do what they call an accountability or a narrative from the people we love about us. Like, man, was I a good dad? And that's when you get the real from people. But most of the time we never get that survey. And because we don't do that survey, we think like, oh, I was okay, when you may have been the greatest dad, person, husband in the world. You could even get it from your ex. Even a baby mama could tell you, like, you know what? We didn't get along, but you was the greatest father in the world. You may not feel like it at that time, but until we have to do the surveys before we can come to a true narrative about ourselves. And I've started doing it, and I was able to I was very shocked to find out people thought about me and felt about me the way they did.
Yeah. Hold on. I see somebody in there. Hold on. Let me get my man on here. There you go. Been missing in action. I know you've probably been out. Hey, damn, Robert. Good night.
About time.
Good night. I'm in the background just listening. I'm gonna give my take on the too nice leads to disrespect. Okay, so I think you have to learn how to navigate when it comes to being too nice. It's about navigating, because I pride myself on niceness, right? But there's a level where you have to, okay, how can I say it? Consistency will always stop someone from being disrespectful. And let me explain that. You can be nice, but the consistency of where you draw the line at is where people know where you stand, right? And you don't have to be rude or forceful at times. You just have to be consistent. If your no is no, it's no 100% of the time. Because once you waver from that no, that's when you get the disrespect. Now, this is all opinion. So I think that there's never such a thing as being too nice that it breeds the disrespect. I think the inconsistency of your actions can breed the disrespect. I could be, I'll leave that there, because I could be wrong, but that's what I see. Because when you navigate, and I take that because when you navigate in the professional world, right? When you're navigating at your job, you don't go out there all brash and yelling, screaming. Yeah, gotta prove. You just tell them, look, I'm not doing this, and you stand your ground. So once you say that no, You move on in a professional manner and you keep going. They take it, they keep moving. Then they'll know, hey, you know what? We can't approach him with this. This is not his thing. And you just stay consistent with that. Why can't you have that same mentality when it comes to your personal life, right? So as long as you stand your ground, I think, as long as you stand your ground, people will, it doesn't, and people will try to disrespect you in a sense to try to waver who you are. But as long as you're consistent with who you are, they'll know where they stand and where they can draw the line. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Because I think that in a because sometimes I think when we're nice, we think that we should say yes to everything, or we should try to accommodate and make everything work for everybody, or it should work out the way it needs to work out. That's what ends up happening because we are trying to be. Listen, it's the double-edged sword. We're trying to be consistent of who we are, and the problem with being consistent of who we are puts us in a place of like I just say, people take advantage. I
agree.
And they do what they can do because we allowed it. Not that we said, hey, we want you to take advantage of us. It's just that it's our nature to sometimes be givers. Sometimes it's to provide, to make sure everyone's okay, to do things a certain way, even when we can't, right? Somebody can tell them they can have it and say no, and they will accept it. But because we will bend our back and break our necks to make it happen, if we say we can't, then it's put on us like, I can't believe you ain't doing this. Why you can't do this for me? You know.
Someone once said this, because something you said, Rob, brought this to mind. Someone once said, the first time you do something for someone, it's a favor. The second time you do it, it's an extension or something like that. But the third time you do it, it becomes obligation, right? So basically, what they're saying is, the more you do something, the more it becomes commonplace for someone to expect it. So the minute that you can't do it, it's like you're then doing something that is offensive to them in a sense, right? Because like you said, you're always telling me yes. Why are you telling me no now? Because I can't. They don't understand you can't, but because you've always been doing it. So I think, like it goes back to a little bit about what I was saying. The consistency can go either way, right? But we can't forget to let people know that when I do something for you, it's because I can and I have the time. Because time is something that you will never get back. That's a precious commodity, right? So if I'm gonna dedicate the time, it must be important to me to do it for you. But the minute I can't dedicate that time, you have no right to then feel a certain way, right? Because it's my time that I'm taking back. So I think, and it also plays on situations. I know everything is situational also, but in the long run, I think, like I was saying before, when you start to set the boundaries and tell them, hey, look, when I do something for you, it's because I care, not out of obligation. It's not because I have to, it's because I want to. So never mistake my want as a I'm trying to think of the word. Never mistake the fact that you want to do something for someone as your obligation to do something for someone. And I think that's where people blur the line, and that's where disrespect comes in.
Well, if I may interject, I was taught to always pay it forward. And paying it forward meaning just giving that next being some tutelage on something that they may or may not know, or help them perfect something that they may already be doing. Now, when we're dealing with specifics when it comes to young children, young adults who are homing their craft, homing their skills as human beings to reside in this world, to go in and go out and do the things that most of us do, we can enable people to be slothfully and so independent and co-independent on other people because of their lack of knowledge on skills and growing up in a certain frame of mind when it comes to being independent, learning how to manage certain things, time, what you're doing, get up, make your bed, uh, uh, make your bowl of cereal, brush your teeth. So when people aren't taught timely skills and the things that we need to heighten ourselves as beings, then people get slothfully. They they come to people with woe is me, woe is me, and they use people kindness and generosity to better themselves because they play innocent, play hurt, or they are incapable of taking care of themselves because other people who have their best interests can take care of them better than they could themselves. And the reason why I even talk like this, because I work for a homeless organization and I run into all kind of mind frames, and I'm a very good listener. And when I listen to these guys and gals talk, I can see some of them dealing with some serious issues, others that have dealt with some serious issues as well, but they've given up on their commitment to themselves to be better and move higher in their thought process and move accordingly. Some people just don't care to do that anymore. So if you haven't had a chance to move correctly, then you're going to always need somebody to carry you through because your mind, for whatever the situation may have been, has been distorted and you're not able to care for yourself. You rather let the government do it, get your food stamps, get your once a month check, because how I know, I grew up around the situation. I hear people talk, and a lot of people are just, excuse my language, lazy as hell, man, and they don't want to do nothing. Nothing.
Well, you know what? And Gene, since welcome back, J. Rob. Missed you, man. I asked you about you last week too. Either way, it's good to hear you back here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And since we're quoting things on kindness, let me quote something. The Reverend Doctor. Okay, he's not a Reverend Doctor. Al Capone said. And this is Al Capone. Now, you can Google it and everything. Al Capone once said these words. He said, in his neighborhood, you can get further with a kind word and a gun than you can with a kind word. Now, this is the most notorious gangster in the world, but even they had a code of kindness, right? And even they understood the value of kindness. Now, you can't tell me, because sometimes I believe, and you know what kindness get the baddest rap? Kindness or niceness get the baddest rap from kind people. Where you got a notorious gangster who knew how to use kindness, you understand, in his business. You understand? So what I'm saying is this. Most of the time, the people who are kind don't know how to really define their kindness in order to use it. And so most of the time, people who are kind, they see themselves as a victim and never a victor. And if you're going to always see your victim, how you going to ever accept as a victim of your kindness is when you feel like your kindness make you a victim, how you going to ever be victorious with it? And most people, that's the case, because we see ourselves as victims when we know factually and scientifically your kindness has done more good for you than bad. But what we do is we accent, highlight, and scream the bad that happened as a result of our kindness, as opposed to having a narrative and knowing that the narrative of our kindness, the results of our kindness produce more good than bad. That's a fact. That's not even hypothetical. Your kindness, and this is factual for everybody on here, your kindness has produced more good than bad in your life. That's a fact. But we have a better narrative for the negatives that our kindness actually provoked than the positive it did. And so I would like to hear give me narrative and stories about or the narrative that created stories of kindness that you're better yet. Let me get a narrative like stories that your kindness has actually caused. Because we know like people can do this, people can do that. Yeah, I heard that part. But what have kindness done for you? We're saying what it haven't done, but we're not really explaining what kindness has done for us and how much it's done more good for us than bad. And that's the part I would love to hear.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you, like on that. The kindness that we have, because I think that what also makes people who are nice and kind be able to um take the disrespect. I take that because of their niceness and kindness, it is when you look at percentage wise, that disrespect that you get is it's not it might be 25% versus the 75% of kindness that you get back, blessings you get back. So there is this balance, but it's not balance. It's unequal, and it's unequal to the more kindness that you get. But a lot of times, and I'm gonna say what I sometimes feel happens is you getting the blessings, you getting the kindness, you seeing all those things, but that's not who you want it from. That's not where you want to get it from. So you only recognizing that I did this for this person, and they disrespected me. You know, listen. Let me use what Luke said the other day when he said he paid about $2.5 million or something in child support. He had like a little post, right? And he said that and almost to say he can't even get like a happy Father's Day or nothing from the kids and this and that. And I thought about that, and I thought about, well, what kind of did this kid, like, people will say this all the time. This is what happens with the child support thing, right? If you got it to give and you give it, you ain't no good because you need to be doing more, right? But if you don't got it and you try to give and don't get to give it, you ain't no good either. So you got to find a balance where you can give the child support, you're giving the child support, and you're getting to do what you need to do, because sometimes it seems like it's going to be a fight. So I thought about, Lou, every one of your children are in disarray with you. They're that influenced by their parents. But I think about this. If he was busy making the money to pay child support, this is what happens to a lot of fathers. They spend their time making money to pay child support, and sometimes they don't say, let me just be child support. Not pay it, let me be child support. And that's where some of the, but now that makes it difficult, because if you're trying to be child support and the other person not letting you, now that's where a problem comes, and you got an issue, whatever. But if you can be child support, pay it, but also be it. And that's my issue with the whole child support system. I think that the court system, if you're gonna make them pay, make them be. Don't because it's not just them you putting the pressure on. You also putting the pressure on the person getting the check, because the person who getting the check have to make some kind of negotiation, some kind of agreement, some kind of something to let everything go the way it need to go. But anybody had any thoughts about that Luke thing that he said he paid the money and the kids don't even send a happy Father's Day or nothing.
Okay,
It's just like,
and listen, I'm from Miami. I'm familiar with Luke. You know, all of us grew up in Liberty City, so I know Luke. I know of Luke like that. You know, same neighborhoods and stuff like that. Luke is Luke. You know, his art is not too far from his character. That's number one. Luke is what you see is what you get. That's number two. I think Luke, the child support, most men, Luke, in some cases, allow the child support to compromise his niceness, right? Because most of the time, the child support do compromise a man's niceness. A man may feel, if I'm paying child support, that's all I need to do. And so it tests your niceness and your ability to be nice, or it tests your ability to figure out whether you were really nice in the first place, right? And so I think child support is just another test of that, because I know men who was on child support and still went the extra mile to do what you just said, still have that relationship with their child and go above and beyond and still take care of their child with extra money beyond giving child support. That's a fact. Luke case is a little bit different because it's a notorious case down here. And Luke is not going to say it, but I'll say it for him. It's one of the famous stories of Luke down here. Luke went to the child support office, and I'm pretty sure he told this story too. Luke went to the child support office and paid his child support, and I literally in a bag full of pennies. No, this is one of the most notorious Luke stories, whether you know it or not. This is a factual story. Office and paid literally all his child support in pennies. And so, and I'm saying that to say this. I'm like, okay, so if you can be that creative, right, to do that, then it tells me how creative were you in your interactions between your child and your child's mother. And was it that, or was it something else? And it's hard to believe that if you can do that with the child support, then your child support, when it comes to your moral child support, wasn't the same. And so don't think because you sold money, right, you should be expecting morality. That's a lot of people. I'm like, you're sadly mistaken. You can't sow money and expect morality. You sow morality, you'll get morality. You sow money, you'll get money. And sometimes I think that's get a little skewed with that. So I'm not sure what's the total relationship between Luke and his sons. I think he's a good guy because I watch him give to other people's children through the Little League football programs. But then sometimes you got people who can be great coaches to other people's children and the terrible coaches to the terrible coaches.
Right.
It can be either or. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think the back with both of y'all was saying, even the Luke situation, but just me being like a little younger, and I'm kind of going through that situation a little bit now, but even back to what I think his name is Master Builder was saying about about working, about what you're doing, what I'm doing as a father, doesn't come with like niceness, but it's like a lot of times when it comes when you go to court, and of course it's stupid that I put my seed in this woman and I have to go to court to get rights from my seed. You know what I'm saying? You carried the child. This is my seed. You know what I'm saying? My seed. And you do that, right? And when it comes on the woman's side, like man, the woman can be on every single government assistance in the world, every single one, right? But they wouldn't care 2 cents about what she's on. Only thing they cares about is how much you make, or it could be how much she's so called that you make, and if the judge agrees with her, right? But I think the law that should definitely get passed is definitely what Dr. Ron was saying. Also, a judge should be allowed to say, "Hey, I'm going to put it in my interest that we're going to do joint custody first, and then we can get to the child support later." Because a lot of cases where the guy doesn't go to joint custody, he's just going up for straight child support because the woman got upset or whatever the situation was. He could have got remarried, whatever the situation. The woman put him on child support, and I've seen a lot of cases personally where the father has the child. Man, when I tell you, it could be 80-90% more than the woman. The father could damn the child could damn near stay with the father, and the mother still wants child support. She still wants to take taxes when tax season come by. I feel like the judge should also say, if this is all true, or just look at the documents that they turn in, or look at what the guy is saying, listen to what the guy's saying. Okay, then let's do joint custody. Let's see what's really going on, because a lot of fathers just go to a child support court and they just say, "Why get my child such and such and such?" And the judge is basically trying to tell him like, "Well, this is just a child support order, not a joint custody order." But I feel like the judge should be able to put it in their best interest to say, okay, we're not going to do child support now. We're going to do joint custody. Can you prove how much you have your child? And then we'll go on because if just as a young man, I want to work. If I can work, I think if you can work like 9 to 5, 5, 6, 7 days out of the week, and sometimes you're not going to have that much time for your kids because it's a woman. It's supposed to be a 2-parent household, but we forget that second parent a lot of times is the government now for the woman. We forget that, and not only is it the government, it's also the bitter grandma who don't have a man who's there for her grandkids. Really want to keep you out the picture because they want their daughter to be just like them. You know what I'm saying? That's also the case. It's the bitter grandma, it's the bitter auntie. All of them are against you. But as a man, you want to work, you want to provide for your kids. But you can't have your kids Monday through Friday. If you're working the way you're working, definitely if you're working overtime, if you're working overnight, if your schedule is like midday, third shift, you know what I'm saying? And we see a lot of help that the grandparents and the aunties and all that give on the mother side. Sometimes even with the father, see, my mom helped me, but at the same time, my mom health is not to the point where she can really help the way I want her to. You know what I'm saying? And it hurts. But on the other side, and like I said, I seen a lot on the other side, the grandma will help so much and would help lie to the point where the father just like, what do I do? And it's just like, man, you have to go, you got to find some type of way. But if the man is working and the woman's really not working, or she is working and making that thing possible, but the help from the government always tends to benefit the woman, no matter if it's a 405. I think back then they used to call it IUP or something like that for the older gentlemen, or when they come to school, like aftercare. And let's be real. Last thing I say, let's be real. Our minds don't think like that. We just want to work. Excuse my language. Work, fucking eat. You know what I'm saying? We don't think about all this extra stuff that can really help. We don't think about that. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, we don't. But the woman on the woman's side, they do. Now, when the guy do think of it, you go to court and the judge still giving you, showing you their ass. But I think that's something that, I think joint custody needs to be recommended a lot of times by the judge, because a lot of these dads, like I know a lot of dads that, man, I don't even understand it. I'm trying not to get caught in that situation, but I know a lot of dads that do for their child way more than the mom. The mom just doing what we doing now, sitting on our ass, and they get us sit for the court and get a lot of money, a lot of time. The dad don't be understanding. You got to go for joint custody, and the judge try to say it, but the judge don't say it. But I feel like the judge should say it. That's just how I feel about that.
So Tay, what I hear you saying, and I think that even if Gene Roberts said this as well, that there's a lot of men who are just being nice. They're just doing what they need to do. They're not being calculated. They're not being manipulative. They're just saying, hey, I want to try to fit into this role of provider, and I'm going to just provide these things.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But then what comes back to what Gene was saying is consistency of that, right? So that also comes with a consistency. It comes with this point of saying that I gave you this week, and this is what I have to give for this situation, right? And when you do opposite of that, or when you get involved with like, oh, I need this, and you give this, I need this, and you give that, and you keep like within a week, oh, you need the money for some McDonald's, or he need this and that, or blah blah blah. You done did that a whole week when you had already gave money at kind of at the beginning of the month for that. That consistency kind of breaks down, and it will come back. Listen, I've heard it many times. Well, that's what you should do as a dad, right? And when this is what, and you're saying, yeah, because I want to be good to my child. I want to be nice with you. I want to be nice with you. But then you'll see that the other child that live in the house, just go back to a couple years ago, the man had brought the McDonald's just for his kid to the house, and his mom had the other kids, right? And that he got blasted and people had issues with it. But the other kids don't have the other dad don't have to do this. He still pick up his kid. He still he even coming over there, get some honey every once in a while still, all kinds of things. And here I am, almost feel like I'm supporting and paying all these, paying for you, these kids, because I want to be a good dad. I'm a nice guy. I want to do the best thing. We have to find a way to keep consistency in what we do and how we do it. We can't be Superman. You gotta be like a bank. You go to the bank at a certain point, they ain't gonna let you withdraw no more money because you already withdraw as much as you could. Even and guess what? They got the money in the bank. They got it. It's in there. But they tell you, no, you can't get no more you can't get no more. Listen, the ATM machine don't let you get no more than, if you like me, you only get $500. After that, you got to call the bank, and they got to figure out if you get you got $100,000 in your bank, but you can only get $500, maybe $400, and if you're at the right place, you can only get $200 on that card. That's it. And that's how we got to be consistent in saying, hey, this is where my boundaries is. This is how I operate. Because if not, what happens is we being nice, and then we start getting bitter.
But it's hard. It's hard. Just me going through this now. It's like when I date women that have other kids, and whether their daddy is there, what he's supposed to be, and whether their daddy is not. But just as a man, you want to provide. I think the two P's we got as a man is just provide and protect. Real man, real nigga, whatever word people want to use. A real man, provide, protect. So when you see another child that's not yours, and it's like you see they don't have, but you're going to be there for your child. Yeah, you want to give that child the 10-20% of the extra time that you have, because that is your biological child sibling. You want to do that. Now, is you obligated to do that? And I think that's the problem with women nowadays, is that they don't get held accountable for their mistakes, and they feel like a guy is obligated to do everything else that the next guy. The problem I got is when you go to a female house and they have a guy that's there, and that guy don't do but give them sex every night, and they still looking for you to do everything else. It's like, yo, you have a guy sitting right here, like, why he ain't doing nothing? Like, what's going on? But they look at you to do everything, you know what I'm saying? Because they know that you will do it, because they know that you're nice. You know what I'm saying? Which goes back to what we're talking about. They know
he might be nice too. He might have the baby oil and the sliding glass.
Ain't nothing wrong with the baby oil. Ain't nothing wrong with the baby oil. Nothing wrong with the baby oil.
You know what they call them kind of brothers who be doing the most for other people's children. Y'all know the word what they call brothers.
Simps.
Straight up simps, bro. Straight up simps. Listen, like the conversation is, when is it to be nice and pay it forward and have a heart for people, and for the most part, male or female, we some of us, we got hearts for other people that aren't ours, that are birthed from us. I mean, listen, if you original like that, be original, be authentic. And on the other side of that, and this is going to be a little joke, but I'm serious at the same time. When we take care of others that aren't ours, just because we heartfelt and we want to do that, and then turn around and like Doc say, this other knucklehead, he come through, he give him a little bit of honey every now and again, and you around here still paying for your child food, the kids, them other babysitting food. Man, listen, if it quack like a duck and it look like a duck, it's a duck. And people are in the business of using kindness for weakness, taking your benefit for the doubt. Literally, you gave it to them and they take it proudly and they work against you. That's why a lot of guys, they like, oh, well, women are nurturing and everything. Yes, women can be very nurturing, but men are too. When men desire children, let me say that, and I want y'all to comprehend what I said. When men desire children, man, that's some godly stuff, bro. When a man say, "Listen, I want you to have my children," man, that's big, bro. And people in today's society, social media, and all these other hounds of social media that push that certain lifestyle so people could fall into, well, if he ain't got this much of money, well, if her backside ain't fat, uh no one is fostering the idea of how to move forward and how to resolve issues with themselves. And once you become into a partnership with someone and bring a life into this world, now you have to really say to yourself, how intelligent do I want to be at this point? Because what the brother was saying earlier, I just finished paying off child support February of this year, thousands of dollars. Even money, I think I didn't even belong. I didn't even think I need to pay to him, but it's paid. But yet my relationship with my daughter is ruined. My child is almost 31 years old, and I'm still trying to work out issues and resolve issues from her mother programming her to hate me, to dislike me, and at every chance, I'm the bad guy. So when it comes to dealing with court and stuff like that, guys, we got to be more into knowing what the system works like than smoking weed and putting on nail polish and makeup and hanging out with the homeboys and doing all this crazy stuff. If we're not learning the language of the law or the law, if we're not learning how the law work, how this land work, and how, like the brother say, well, the judge should implement this and this and this. No, them judges ain't gonna do that. What they want you to do, excuse my language, take your ass over there where them people at and go look for the right form to fill out. And if you ain't bright enough to go ask the damn question yourself, you better bring somebody with you. Cause they do everything by paper and pen. Thought process only work for those who already in control of it. So lack of knowledge leads us into all these situations, even being kind for people. And it's not wrong with being kind for people. You're supposed to be kind. You don't supposed to walk around with a chip on your shoulder really at no time. But you have to be aware of the many thought processes that you're around daily. That's a lot to be around. You have no idea who's cunning and who's scheming. You don't know who's rooting for you or who's not going to be rooting for you. Even at my job, it's crazy.
You said something that was so important, and I mean, I will always, once I hear it, I will bring it to the forefront because it is, it was the one result I got out of my research with fathers is that without consensual fatherhood, without fathers consenting, you said it. If a man makes the decision to say, "Hey, I want this woman, I want her to be my," hopefully he said he want her to be his wife, and he wants her to have his children. You are going to see a 85% success rate in the child rearing and things that happen with that child.
Right.
What happens is, so often we don't consent to child fatherhood, we consent to freak offs. And then the child comes based on the freak off. And then and this is a really good analogy because I think that I want people, you can learn a lot from watching this trial. You can learn a lot if you read the tape, not watch, but read the transcripts and listen to the transcript. That young lady in this thing with Diddy, she was everything she did because she wanted to be with him. She wanted to be with him. And that happens to us as men all the time. Women want to be with you. And sometimes they're not the one thing they know that will make you have to be with them, because if you raised by your mama, right? Your mama raised you, that if you have a child, you have a sympathy, right? You have a compassion, you have an empathy for a child coming and needing the father. So You're going to try to do the right thing, especially if you're a nice guy. But let's go to the non-consensual fatherhood guys who not nice. Listen, I will never get this story out of my mind. I'm telling this story ever since I've been working in fatherhood, and I heard the man tell a story. The story is, man, he went to FAMU. He had sex with the girl. He told her he did not want to have a baby. The lady had the baby anyway. He told her, I'm not going to be involved because I told you I don't want to have a baby. I don't want this. I'm not considering any of that. He refused to ever be involved with the child. He was involved with another woman who went the same FAMU, and they had children. Got married, had children. The daughter of the lady was getting married. She was friends, but she was sisters, even though her dad didn't acknowledge her as his daughter or any of that. The sisters knew that was their sister, because the mom probably, the mom's always going to say, well, that's your sister, but your dad don't acknowledge her because whatever reason. Everybody in that family, the girl was getting married and she wanted the dad to walk her down the aisle. And everybody was like, it's been so long, Dad. You should do. He refused. He had everybody in the family upset because they said, she just wants you to walk in. You her father, walking down the aisle. And he refused because he said, that's not my goddamn child, biologically. But it's not, because I didn't. And I told the mom that I didn't want. And here's the part that becomes so difficult. He was a great father and husband to his wife and his kids. So that's an example. I always say that. I say to any young men out here who is out here want to have freak offs and use the baby oil and all that. If you want to do it, make sure in the time you buying the supplies for the freak off, you buy some prophylactics, some condoms, some Jimmy hats, so you can use them. Because don't just depend on this is the culture. Tell you this y'all culture. This is the culture y'all depend on the morning after pill. Y'all say I just do whatever, and I depend on she'll take that morning after pill. I go and get her one for that.
Oh, plan B.
And morning after pill don't stop venereal diseases either.
Oh, I didn't see. Now you're adding in the extra. Now you're adding the extra. But
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, because it's exactly what they need. The people, the young people, and even some old people, as we're listening, you have to be mindful. If you're not ready, and if you don't want to do something, because basically, I call a lot of fathers have been at some point coerced. Now, guess what? That's not a bad thing, because they turn out to be really good fathers and do what they need to do for their children.
Mm-hmm.
But under the circumstances of how it initially played out, they probably could have been a better husband and a father if the choice was theirs to choose her and choose to have the kids. So it's just don't kill the messenger. I'm just telling you what the research showed me, is that a large majority of our fathers who are out here and even some who are married and not married, if they didn't choose the woman and they didn't choose to have a child with the woman, it was unconsensual for them. But they was coerced by the society and by what they needed. They was coerced by your mama raised you, and now you're gonna do the same thing that your daddy did and not raise it. All of these coercive things come in play.
But Ron, Listen, man. I don't want to. I don't think men need another damn excuse for us to be less than what we are any damn way, right? And so I heard that I think that guy's a complete fucking idiot. That's number one. Number two,
I knew you was gonna say.
yeah, he's a jackass. He's not even a good example. You can, I mean, people are showing greater empathy and sympathy to strangers that they don't know. So he had a chance to really be the man he could be, and still chose to be the same less ass man that he was then, even in the future. So he never grew one damn bit. He's a poor excuse. But nevertheless, number one, you should never use a procreation tool as a recreation tool. We got to take some responsibility for our goddamn self. And we're talking about changing everything but our behaviors. That's how, you understand? So if you want to change something, start with your behavior. Stop with your choices. And then I'm going to tell you something, Ron, there's a double-edged sword to that non-consensual fatherhood thing you're saying. Because if you say it's a non-consensual father, then at what point do that teeter on non-consensual sex? And at one point, she can decide she's a rape victim now. You're right. He's a non-consensual father, so it had to be non-consensual sex. And you can't be a father unless you have sex. And so if you're going to keep the non-consensual title, you got to understand it. But maybe it was non-consensual sex, and that's going to bring a charge greater than child support.
And that's the only thing that gives the woman that kind of power to have that leverage against a man, just because of procreation is a natural thing.
Right. And so when we use procreation as recreation, we got to own that.
Fact.
Because that's the root cause of the sicknesses that we have. We probably can be great fathers and husbands, but when we got so many options now, and particularly because the science and studies prove it, that we're always adding advantages, especially when we get to your age, Tate. The likelihood of a woman finding a husband versus a husband finding a husband, a man finding a wife, it's like exacerbated. What I mean by that, in the black culture, a black woman finding a husband after the age of 30 is between 40 to 50%. Spanish woman finding a husband after the age of 30 is between 30 to 40%. And even in the white culture, a white woman finding a husband after the age of 30 is between 20 to 30%. And so we had a double-digit advantage. And sometimes the promiscuity or the sex can make us so sick psychologically. Well, I ain't got to tell you, because you see the different things that's happening. You see dudes riding and looking all night long. You see dudes when they get up, they don't come home to a wife. They don't even come home. They go to a strip club and beat up, and that's just their lifestyle. So the psychological sickness manifests itself in so many different ways. You see dudes getting caught with child porn and all kind of stuff. And so that's the part we really don't talk about. And so it's the psychological sickness that's a real danger to men more than anything else. Forget the child support. It's what you're dealing with privately and psychologically that's the real danger in your life. You trust me, I'll tell you, I've seen people get on child support and become better men for it. But it's the stuff that you don't steal, because the people that's not on child support and not paying child support, think about this. The money they could have been using to pay child support, and sometimes child support is God. Because the money you could have been using to pay child support, God might have said, okay, pay the child support. Because if you wasn't paying the child support, what behaviors are you funding? Or what behaviors you could have been funding? You have to answer that for yourself, because I don't even want that put out here. You understand? But there's some things that I could have been funding, you understand, that may have cost me my marriage. You understand? And cost me a lot of things that I may have not been prepared for. But that child support kind of maybe protect me from some things that I may have not even been aware of. So I have to look at it two different ways sometimes.
I understand.
I just want to.
Oh, you want to talk?
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand. So yeah, so when we looking at it, my age, as you say, but just like like I said, I was born in '92, so I know y'all all, everybody on here had a life before me. I'm pretty sure y'all was running wild in the '90s as well. But
nobody judging, bro.
I don't know about that.
But now, but what
He said we were feral animals back in the.
But like what I say,
you didn't watch no Freaknik, did you? Okay, don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Hey, that's way before my time. Is it before my? Yes, before my time. But now what I say is this. You know what I'm saying? When I say about man, when it comes child support, you say child support is God, or some guys not going home. Just my age, and I'm pretty sure everybody on here probably have a daughter, probably my age or closer, or whatever. But me growing up, a lot of the guys that I grew up with, that I've been around, yeah, I've seen some that should have probably been put in the grave of how they treat women. But when I say majority, I would probably say, and I'm not over exaggerating, literally 90% of the guys that I have grew up with tried to settle down with the woman, necessarily a black woman, tried to. You know what I'm saying? They try to. And just how you're talking about guys going around strip clubs spending money, it's a lot of these females, but even before social media probably made things 2-3 times worse. But a lot of
Right.
these women who aren't raised, some of them that have the man in the house, but but you also have the mom that, oh no, don't tell your dad, let's hide it from your dad. Then the ones that don't have the fathers in the house that listen to their mom, excuse my language, they ain't shit, and they was whores. Like, I'm gonna be real, like, a lot of my man, 90% of the guys I grew up with tried to settle down with either their first baby mom or a woman in general. And yes, they try to. Some of them try multiple times. Some of them only try one time. And yes, got their heart broke. You know why? Because us not having our fathers, or some of us that did have our fathers, we listened to the woman, and the woman told us to be nice. Go back to the topic of this thing. Be nice. So we
Right.
see here, we dating these nights, like we getting our little change we got from working jobs, or we making sure that we there for this woman. But they didn't well, when we turned into, we was a-holes back then too at a point in time, but they didn't want the guy that actually wanted them. They wanted the guy that they had a challenge with. You know what I'm saying? That's the guy that they wanted. Some of them say the ain't shit guy, whatever the case may be, but that's the guy that they wanted. So what I try to tell a lot of older guys that try to talk about my generation is that have a conversation with us, and you'll understand. A lot of y'all daughters, not saying y'all, but a lot of these women, a lot of these girls, y'all ain't shit. I'm telling y'all think they just so nice because they have friends and they moms and all that type of stuff. They're not. Listen to me, you'll be surprised. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I turned 33 in August. And I'm telling you, I have talked to plenty of women. Now, I'm not saying I didn't do any wrong, but I have talked to plenty of women, and they want a certain type of dude. They want a certain type of dude, or when I was an a-hole and stuff, when I was a-hole, when I was selling what I was selling, it's like, how you more attracted to me knowing there's no future with me? No, you see me talking to the other female. You just seen this girl walk out my house, and you still want me? Like, I ain't even washed off yet, but you still want me? But the guy that's treating them good, or even like the good guy at times, like, they don't want that. So, no, a lot of us guys at my generation, we tried to settle down, but these females ain't like. And remember, I grew up when social media was coming up on a rise. Now it's crazy. So I was born in '92. So the 2000 babies, listen, they wild, because they're born in 2000. Now they're 21, 23, 24, 25. They're young, still kind of fresh meat, and they're able to get into a lot of stuff, a lot of clubs and things because they fresh meat. My age, we coming into our 30s. So these females, they get on these podcasts, they talk, y'all meet them, they so nice, but they ain't shit, bro. I'm telling y'all, they looking for a certain type of guy, and if that guy don't fit this type of criteria, they don't want. So it's not as easy as thing. And then also too, Mr. Lightborn, I've seen where you say child support is God. I've seen where child support has took men all the way down, because if you're taking a part of, it depends on how much they pay. You're taking a certain amount of income that they could have invested somewhere else. That instead of them standing that condo in that apartment for 20, 25 plus years, getting badged by the baby mom because he done got stuff, or he got to drive, he not able to afford a new car. If it wasn't for that, he would have been able to provide a 3, 4, 5 bedroom house for all of his kids, or a 2, 3 bedroom house for all his kids. So I understand what you're saying. I see it on both sides, mainly the side I'm talking about how child support can be very, very, very detrimental to a guy, because sometimes the amount these guys are paying is ridiculous. And I think it's more, I think y'all start coming in and talk to us. Start talking to the early 90s, mid 90s kids, children, and you will see, like, it's not as easy and simple as y'all think. That's all.
Gene, I know you wanted to say something. You want to get that comment in?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a few things I'm going to comment on now after my brother spoke. Okay, I want to go back to something Lightborn said about the non-consensual father versus when it become non-consensual sex, right? That relationship is twofold, right? Because I always say there's no such, for me, this is my take on it. There's no such thing as a non-consensual father if you're having unprotected sex. So that's the first parameter. If you're having unprotected sex, then you're consenting. What happens is that you're giving the choice of whether you are or are not a father to the woman at that point. And I've said that before. So the issue that runs into it is not so much of the when does it become non-consensual sex, but more so for me is the fact that you're having unprotected sex. You're already consented to be the father. You're just now giving her the choice whether it comes to fruition or not. So
you don't sign the contract.
Yeah, pretty much, right? I think that and just leaning towards what was previously said, I don't think that the times are different for the 90s versus the 80s versus 2000s. What I do think, I think the experiences are all the same across all these decades, right? Because you still have the same type of people going across in all these decades. You'll find the women who you can have a meaningful, strong relationship with at those different times. I think the lack of patience that we have as a society has dwindled, right? Because before we were more, as a society, we were more of that. Let me learn you first. Let me see if we're compatible. Let me take it to the next level after that. Now it's so instant. If I tell you hey, yo, you know those two are dating today? Y'all be like, oh, they're having sex? Back when we were, y'all know those two are dating? Oh, yeah. When did they start seeing each other? It was sex wouldn't even come up. Now, does that mean people weren't having sex at our age when we were back kids? No, that doesn't mean that. It was there. There was teen pregnancy everywhere. I knew people in school who were pregnant when they were walking across the stage. So it's not different. I think it's just gotten so that instance that where people feel like if I date you now, we have to have sex, and that's what gets people caught up. Right. Because a lot of these people who are on, and I could be wrong when I say this, but I feel some of these people who are on child support from a woman who they really didn't know, who they didn't get to know.
Absolutely.
And so now they're hemmed up.
Right.
And so until we start to teach ourselves to go back and reset to say, hey, look, make sure if you're not going to strap up, that you can at least stand there for 18 years. That's the mind frame that we have to start teaching. Because if you're not going to strap up, and also start teaching about, and that was said previously, start teaching about sexual transmitted diseases. Because if you ain't strapping up, you don't know what anyone has. They don't know what you got. You don't know what they got. So those are two things. Those are your Russian roulette. Those are those two bullets in the gun. She can either come out pregnant or you can get an STD. Back when we were growing up, even till now, they talk about it, but I think they've talked about it so much it's become commonplace. It's no longer shocking anymore. Before, for us, it was a shocking thing. What? She got gonorrhea? What? Don't mess with that girl. Now it's, oh, she had gonorrhea? She got her shot. We good. Because it's become a different look when it comes to those type of things. And I think that's what we have to be cognizant of, is the fact that, no, it's always been around. It's always existed. It's just our patience has changed when it comes to actually wanting to be,
waiting on that time to come. Yeah, waiting on the
exactly.
right time to when. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Cause I grew up in that time too, where you dating a girl, and ain't nobody thinking about sex. If anything, y'all doing a lot of kissing, a lot of squeezing, and stuff like that. But ain't nobody winning. Nobody ain't went to no second or at least third base. So, and in today's society, everything has been made to feel sexualized, a touch, should I, or a drug associated situation, and instant satisfaction and gratification is what's being sought. And just like you said about the people who having sex, if you, the female, and you, the male, are having unprotected sex, then both of y'all signed on for the consequences of whatever happens, a child or a disease. And today's society, you have more and more of these babies walking around here with herpes, genital warts, yeah, and they strung out on drugs, this fentanyl, and they are not able to make clear choices. And the population of youth has gone down just because babies are born drug addicted, riddled with whatever disease might be the mother may have. And if you're not raised to make wise decisions, know how to move, then you're going to put yourself in jeopardy, and be bringing in children into this world that's falling into peril just because.
And I'll add to that, because I think also, I was having a conversation the other day, and I was saying a lot of the issues that you have when it comes to these fatherless children is the fact that fathers don't understand their worth. They don't understand that being a father is a superpower, right?
Fact.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I love it when Ron says, when you actually become a father, you actually understand that you need the child more than the child needs you.
Fact.
And so I always, it's once you start to realize your power and your potential when it comes to being a father, you change the way you move and you change the way you operate. And once you start to change the way you operate, you start to you affect everyone around you. That's when you step into fatherhood. Helps you step into manhood sometimes, right? Just like manhood sometimes helps you step into fatherhood. It's kind of like, which one do you hit first in some cases? And a child can help you hit both at the same time, sometimes when you don't even realize it, right? And so I think we have to start to understand what it means to be a father, what our impact is, not only in the home, but because I'll tell you now, when you become a father, you're a father to that child, but then you start to indirectly affect other kids in the area. Mm-hmm. They look at you, they look at the relationship, and they're like, yo, man, I wish they understand what a father looks like if they don't have one. Because they say, man, I wish someone was in my life that would do that with me. I don't have any. And you have some kids who say, I'll never, have a kid and not be there for them. And it really affects them to where they become a father who is an engaged father, not just a present father, but an engaged father. So I think, you have to understand the influence as a father that you have, not just in your immediate circle, but just in the circle around you.
Hey, I'll tell you, I don't want to let you go without bringing some justice to what you said. You got to understand the reason you're dealing with the level and the type of women you're dealing with now is because you're dealing with the consequences of an evolved woman, right? You understand what I said? Evolved simply mean the reason that they may not be shit right? It's because they were constantly, and their mothers. So put it like this, say it like this. And I love how Tupac used to say it. He said he could see his daddy intentions. I'm just paraphrasing. He can see his daddy intentions from the conception, from the womb. You understand? From the time of being created, he could see his dad intentions. And I'm saying that to say this. I'm going to build on that. Those women had to evolve. You know why? Because what we put their mothers through, which is like your mom, what we put their mothers through, they was determined not to go through. You understand? So when they say, you know what, if I can build myself build myself to a man's provision, right? Status, financial status, right? Then I should earn all the rights of having that financial status. So everything a man would do and all the privileges and rights that a man would have of being at a potential financial status or economic status, then why should a woman not have the same status and the same rights? You understand? And so I think what we try to do unconsciously, when you find particularly a sexually liberated woman, you understand? Because we can excuse it when it's a sexually liberated man. Matter of fact, we think it's a man's right to be sexually liberated, i.e. consensual or non-consensual fatherhood, right? So we see it as a man's right to be sexually liberated. But when we run into a sexually liberated woman, you understand? We stereotype them as not being shit or a hoe or whatever the case may be, when we're not understanding the fact that, damn, should they go through the same things? Or should y'all be able to put them through what your daddy done put their mama through? Or do they have a right to evolve? And I'm glad that they're strong enough to say, listen, we don't have to take this shit. You understand? If I can provide for myself just as well as a man can, or I can be a player just as well as a man can, why should I not benefit the rights and responsibilities that comes along with it? That's all what I'm saying. So I'm just being fair on both sides. Especially if I was talking from my daughter's perspective, I'm like, I'm goddamn right. My daughter is living in the fullness of her choices, as opposed to trying to live in a choice she think a man thinks she should be in. No, be the full freedom of you, not what you think somebody else thinks you should be. And that goes for both men and women.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for these words. I mean, we really had a listen. We went. See, I know people that. Let me tell you what people do. People will watch and say, "Hey, man, y'all guys seem like they're gonna be talking about Diddy. I ain't even gonna watch. I'm not even gonna watch it. You know, I'm not even gonna pay attention." And then find out that no, we end up talking about what our topic is, and it comes back to the core, because that is our core. Is not our topics. Our core is fatherhood. So no matter what the title gonna be, it could be booties and bangs or whatever. It's gonna come back to fatherhood. It's not gonna stray, because that's what our focus is. And so we can pretty much bring any topic. Look, one of my little students, young student here watching this, asking me what I'm doing in Bible. I see him. I'm gonna get with him tomorrow when we get in class. Say, what you doing watching this? Maybe cut on for his parents, because the parents might need to watch. So I want to just first let me go ahead and thank our sponsor for the night, as always, JAG, attorney at law, Miami-Dade, Broward, West Palm Beach, attorney at law, JAG, Johnny A. Gasper, Esquire. If you need to reach a lawyer about something, hit him up on his email. His website is j.gasper@jag1law.com. I think it's his email. The phone number 305-827-8087. Or hit the website www.jag1law.com. Continued sponsor of the Fatherhood Think Tank. Again, want to thank Tay for being here. You know, he has his podcast. Look for him. Pete still here is Master Builder platform. Check out their platforms. Check out the things they're talking about. They have good things going on. So good to have the trio back together. Gene, good to see you back here, brother.
Hey man, before you close out real quick, I just want to say, man, I really did miss this. Being gone that long was how you call that? I was going through withdrawal.
Yeah. Listen.
I
I think,
appreciate you guys. Like boy, man, you always hitting it hard. I appreciate that.
yeah, I think that was something. This is the reason why I didn't not want to stop, because of what happened. But it came back when it needed to come back, and it came back. I think it came back for some of the fathers right at the right time. Some fathers really needed. It was like at that right time where they need to get back into the swing of things. With that being said, thank everybody again. You can join us next week. We'll have it looks like we already had I'm not going to share what the topic was, but the topic is coming from Tay. He sent me he did what I want people to do. He sent me the topic, and he sent me the pin now, the picture to go up, and that's the kind of things that we doing. So next week I'm gonna keep it a secret, but we already got next week's topic, and I'll tell you right now, it's gonna be a banger. So you're gonna want to be here for that topic that we're gonna have next week at 7:00 at the Fatherhood Think Tank. With that being said, Father, repeat after me. I am.
I am.
I am.
I
I
am.
am.
I am a man of honor.
I
I
am
am a man of honor.
I am.
I
I
am.
I am.
I am.
am.
I am a man of courage.
I am
I am a man of courage.
I am.
I
I
am.
am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of respect.
I
I am a man of respect.
Fathers, I say that I am.
I am.
Fathers, I say that you are.
You
You
are.
are.
Fathers, I say that we are.
That
We
we
are.
are.
Championship.
Championship.
And if you don't know what that means that we holding our kids up on our own arms and our families on our back, as fathers should do, and be the championship for everyone that they lead. With that being said, thank you, good night, and we'll see you all here back at Fatherhood Think Tank. Go to our app, join up the Fatherhood Think Tank, get all information when things are going on. And I'm just going to say this and throw it out there. We are planning to have a live get together in South Florida soon. I'm just working out the details so we can get all the fathers who are in that area, the majority, and we get together and just break some bread and spend some time together outside of this time, just to be in a different space. So that being said, thanks everybody for joining. We'll see you all here next week at the Fatherhood Think Tank.